Brandon, you made reference to an answer when you're up at the podium there about Josh being coached hard at times, or maybe responding well to that. I think it was when you were talking about Dave's and kind of riding him at
Oh
times.
yeah.
Um, what's your confidence level that Joe, he's close in age to Josh, they have a good relationship, but when Josh needs that hard coaching, that Joe is the right guy to provide that?
Great question. That actually came up in the interview, and with Dave's and with Joe, and I think Joe showed that a little bit even when he went from quarterback coach, which is him in a room with three guys, to now he's coaching 20 something guys, and now he's got to do it with the defense. And the thing I think I give Josh a lot of credit. Josh doesn't try to take advantage of, well, you were my QB coach. Josh respects the position that it is. And I think Joe understands that. And I've even seen that, like when you're working alongside these coaches on an offensive staff, as their peers, to now you got to instruct them what to do as the coordinator, when he went from QB coach to offensive coordinator. So is it easy? No, but I think he's aware. And as long as you're aware of that, and I think Josh will treat that the right way as well. But I don't have concerns. But is it easy? No. Yeah.
Brandon, with the perspective linebacker, you've got to find one, I would think, in this new defense. Do you think that's a position, given the cerebral nature of it, that maybe free agency is the best way to attack that, or high in the draft? Which way would you, perfect world, would you prefer for that position?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'd love a $20 million player or a first round pick, like any position. I would say we'll, at the end of the day, we'll see what's available. And the thing we have to do in free agency more now than ever is be very precise with who we select and every dollar we spend. And so if we think, this guy, to your question, as a linebacker, that is a piece that can help us. He's got the intelligence that you're referring to. He's a DNA fit, and obviously he fits what we're looking for in this defense. Then yes, we'd do that. Doesn't mean if we don't that we can't find that in the draft as well. So we'll keep an open mind, and it's really about where is the best bang for our buck. Is it in some of that, the way we do, Sal, is we're looking at where's the depth of the draft versus where's the depth of free agency. If you don't get this position in the free agency, you're going to have a hard time answering it in the draft.
I know you guys love Dawson Knox, but I don't think he's even running away from the situation that's kind of facing you guys. It's obviously a huge salary cap hit. You know what he is for you guys. Have you made any headway into what you're going to do there, and what are kind of the options that you have in front of you with what his situation is?
Yeah, I love Dawson. I mean, he's been great since we drafted him in 2019. And it's been fun to watch his career, and even how he handled, after we paid him, the drafting of Dalton Kincaid, and continuing to do whatever this team asks. And so you're right. He has a tough number as we go into the season, and so we got to figure that out. And as we do, we got multiple decisions. Dawson and I had dialogue the day after the season, the day after we lost in Denver. He came up to my office. We talked for a while. I have a good relationship with Chase Callahan, his agent. We've done a lot of deals. And so I think it just starts with trust, communication, honest conversation. And so we've had some dialogue. We're not to the point where we need to do anything yet. We'll continue those. We know, like many decisions we have, we're down to a couple weeks to make those. And so there's no answer, there's no resolution, in the next 24 hours or anything like that. But the discussions have happened and they'll continue.
Can you, sorry, like a specific, if you were to be open to a pay cut, is that something that you can get the number down low enough to be tenable for you guys? That makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, anybody's will if you tell them the minimum or something, but I'm just kidding. Like,
Right.
I'm being funny, but
Right.
yeah, I mean, I think if we've done pay cuts before with players, with those, you have to keep in mind, they're going to try and figure out what their market is, and that's what their agents do a great job of. And then what do they feel, everyone wants to feel respected and that they're, their worth, and he knows his role in this team. And so we'd be crazy not to want a Dawson Knox back. We know we have to make it work for him and work for us. And so it's TBD, at this point, again, like it is with some other players too.
I think
Yeah, so
a few of us brilliant GMs have already gotten you to about 45 million in
Really?
cap space.
Really? Can you text that over to me?
I will,
Yeah.
but it all seems pretty easy just doing that.
Yeah.
Do you have a figure in mind that you really need, do you believe you need to get to do what you need to do in free agency?
Yeah, there's some different ways. I mean, there's not just one line of plan. I've sat down with Kevin Meegang. Kevin does a great job, and we've kind of talked about plan A can give you this, plan B, maybe there's a combination of that. Some of it is too, how does it work out? If you have conversations with a couple of players about restructures or pay reduction, maybe that allows you to save a player that, and if they don't, then you may have to release another player. So there's some different ways to do it. We'll, as we did with Spencer Brown, we've already kicked the can down the road on some money there. We may have to do that with someone else. But I also want to be mindful, as I tell you guys, I don't want to put too much of that down the road to where we walk into a year and we've got a major problem just to get under. And now we're just cutting players just to get to the draft. And we're really fielding a team that's not set up for success. So those are the decisions we got to continue to make. There's a lot of different ways to do it. When you're talking about a guy like Dawson and what he brings, it's also the value in the locker room, off the field. So sometimes people will cut your roster down or make decisions for you based on just the skill set or what they see on the field compared to the number. Those are things that matter to me a lot and that I weigh too when I'm making these decisions is what is the player's value on the field? Yes, it's this. But if you lose them, what do you also lose in your locker room? And again, those are, those make it hard. When you walk into a new place, it's probably a lot easier just to, or if you don't know people or have relationships, probably easier just to walk through and start striking people off. 10 million here, 12 million here. Next thing you know, you're at 45 million. I think Greg is going to be a valuable piece. I think we've all decided that. And it's just a matter of how we deploy him. Part of how we deploy him, which I love what Jim said, is show me the pieces we have. We'll get in the right spot.
So question on Taryn then, like Jim also said he was excited, had talked to Taryn and had conversations. How do you kind of view Taryn going into this season?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. We're trying to figure every out and the value. Taryn's been good here. We drafted him. I think it was Josh's draft. We've done a lot, and the guy's played nickel, but he's also basically been half of a will linebacker. Just the way our defense was constructed, and so. Yeah, I'm not aware of their conversations, but I can tell you a lot of love and respect for him. And we're still figuring all those pieces out, how they'll use them, how much will he be on the field in Jim's defense. We played him damn near 90%. And so those are the conversations. How much does Jim foresee him being on the field in his defense? Or is he going to have another linebacker, in his place a little bit more, depending on what's out there. So there's a lot of, not a lot, there's multiple players like that we kind of got to figure out what is the fit going forward, and Greg being one of them, him, and how we deploy him, with the other personnel that we acquired in free agency and the draft.
Can you give us an update on Michael Hoyt, Landon Jackson, and Tyler Bass?
I'm sorry, what?
And can you give us an update, injured guys? Michael Hoyt,
Yeah.
Landon Jackson, and Tyler Bass.
Yes, those guys are all around and they're all rehabbing. I don't have like dates or timelines. I would say Tyler is the closest from the sports hernia. The other guys will be into the spring, but they're there. It's been fun to see them, and I know they've been up to meet some of the coaches who actually.
Okay, Brandon, Joe is used the phrase year one when he was just talking with us, kind of symbolizing that it's it's his leadership now of the building and that things will be different. How have you seen that evolve, and how do you view that in that it's not a traditional year one for a new head coach, and that you guys are in no way, shape, or form rebuilding?
Right.
The expectations are maybe different than a year one from a different organization or a different team that's gone through a change at head coach.
Yeah, I think Joe's mindset is almost the mindset that we tried to take with the head coach hiring process. Like, let's just make sure we're evaluating every person that, whether they've worked here now or before, versus the people we don't know. And Joe has come in and, you know, he'll have different signage up and different, pictures up and different things in meeting rooms. Like he'll have his own sayings and things like that. I think his thing is like, let's walk in like this is a fresh new approach for how we want to build this team, for how we want to do our day. I'm sure there will be some nuances in his scheduling that are different. It's not just going to be, all right, one person in, one person out, and we do everything the same. Even maybe at St. John Fisher, maybe we'll be there, but maybe things are different, and some of that's still up for discussion. But I think Joe just wants to make sure the guys walk in and feel like, okay, there has been a change here, and this is what we're doing. Not worried about really what the expectations are. Just this is year one of a new program. Just because we practiced this way before doesn't mean it's how we're going to do practice now. Just because we ate at 12 noon before doesn't mean we're going to eat at 12 noon now. Does that make sense?
Hey, Brandon, you've got 7 picks, but 2 of them are 7th, not disparaging 7th round, but yeah, you've got 5 picks in the first 5 rounds.
Yeah.
They're more, there's always an urgency, but does it feel like there's more of an urgency to make sure you get it right? I mean, you had 19 picks the previous 2 years.
Yeah.
So again, not disparaging 7th rounders, but you've got 5 picks in the first 5 rounds. You really need to hit it on those 5.
I need to hit it every year. I mean, that's the key. We need to hit it. We need to develop them, and we need to, keep them healthy. All those things. Like it all pertains. Like take Landon Jackson. We didn't get to really develop him a lot on the field this year because of a tough injury. Maxwell Hairston had the freak deal in camp, missed a lot of time, came back, and then got the ankle late in the season. And some of those are they just happen. You can't control it, but those do hurt and develop. And so we need to, get those guys that were in this past draft class or even the year, continue to ascend. Keon Coleman, year 3, we need to get everything off the field exactly where it needs to be so that on the field can be, where we all saw and hoped it would be. And when we get these new draft picks, however many it ends up being, 5, 6, 7, whatever it is, we need to, as soon as we draft them and are allowed to bring them in the building, onboard them properly, get them ramped up, ready for camp, and physically in as good a shape as you can get them for an NFL training camp. I know Joe's not going to make it easy on these guys when we get to Rochester. And so making sure we have them prepared physically for the demands and then develop them as we go along so that hopefully they're playing, once their opportunity comes to play, that they're ascending, and by the end of the season, you don't look at them as rookies. That's the ideal format.
Go ahead. One more quick one. Sharon, is there any consideration of him potentially moving to safety?
Nothing's off the table, Joe. Again, we'll look at anything and everything as we make these decisions, and he's a good football player, and so you never want to rule anything out if you think that's the best position for him.
A couple weeks with Jim, is evaluating these defensive prospects, is it opening up your board at all? I don't want to say opening up, but changing anything in the evaluation process for some of the archetypes, if you will, that you might be able to fit in that specific scheme that might be different than what you've done the last couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, I think like a Javon Solomon that we took a couple of years ago we said he's more of a fit for a 3-4. There's some guys that were, more like 2-down nose tackles that, maybe we valued them differently in the old system than we would value them now. So it does change the values of playtime roles and all that. So yes, I think it, to use their words, trying to find as many positionless players as you can, whether it's a backer who's at some place, he's off the ball and he's playing like a true stacked linebacker, and then sometimes he's walking up as a rusher. So the thing I really, am excited about is just the find us good football players, and we'll figure out the best spot for them wherever that may be.
Based on your conversations with Jim, what kind of qualities do you need in a starting safety next to Cole in particular in this defense?
Yeah, I think with Cole provides he's got a dual skill set of, you've also, there's always been the traditional box safety, free safety. We went for a number of years with Micah and Jordan, which were both, they had that interchangeable skill set. I think you would I don't think there's a coach that's going to turn down an interchangeable skill set. So, I'd love to find another Cole Bishop and pair him right there where you can do both. I think it would be kind of like I said with Greg Rousseau, like if we find a traditional box safety, then he'll probably end up in more free opportunities. But if we find more of a free, rangy post guy, then Cole's going to find himself closer to the box.
What would be your thought on Tre'Davious White returning? I mean, after the year he had last year, obviously, and also considering that Max is coming off the injury in 1 year.
Yeah, love Trey, and I've seen him. He's still in town. I was in the building last weekend, and he was in there with his boys training thing. No, it was fun to have Trey back this season, and we're still kind of combing through all those things. So I wouldn't want to forecast yay or nay. I think it's still early, but you love Tre'Davious for what he's been, and it was cool to see him kind of get back, to what he wanted to be, and of course, what we all want to be for him.
Brandon, you've talked a lot about but how much of Josh's comfortability with certain styles of receiver plays into it?
Yeah, I mean, Josh is not like cookie cutter. It's got to be like this. He, like any quarterback, he wants them to be where they're supposed to be when they're supposed to be, and he wants them dependable. Obviously, he wants them to catch the ball, but Josh is usually like, give me what you got, and I'll make the most of it. And so I think it's my job and our job to find as many versatile skill sets at receiver as we can. Not have all big guys, not have all small. Do we have some speed? Do we have lateral agility, rack players, like a Shakir? So just trying to find as many different options for Pete Carmichael and Joe Brady as they build this 2026 team.
Is there a skill set you feel like you're missing in that room right now, or that you would want to add this offseason?
Great question. I think you're always going to be looking for speed. Like, you can never have enough. You're not just looking for track, though. It's got to make sure it's got receiver skill set to do multiple things. We lost a Shavers this year, did a great job. Like, it was a big contributor to James Cook in the run game. So finding that, making sure we got enough guys on, when it's 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, just outside of a run play option that you can run a slant to, and whether that's Keon or someone else that kind of be that X receiver.